Ladies and gentlemen, our satellite event and afternoon dive into scientific publishing will start now. Please be advised to stand by. If you experience any technical issue during the conference, please send us your queries via the Zoom chat, as we have technical team standby to assist you at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ICEM 2021. We are grateful for your support to our event. This afternoon, ICEM 2021 will bring to you a satellite event with the title An Afternoon Dive into Scientific Publishing. We are honored to have the support from Chinese Journal of Catalysis Elsevier, the Royal Society of Chemistry, RSC, Clarivate, and Frontiers to organize this event. To maximize communication and to maintain the order of the event, please submit your questions to the presenter via the Q&A function in Zoom. All questions will be addressed by the end of each presentation. If you experience any technical issue during the conference, please send your queries to us via Zoom chat, as we have technical team standby to assist you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Dr. Ong Wei-jun and Assistant Professor Dr. Hao Chunyan to lead our satellite event this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, MC, for the very brief introduction and the remarks. Right. So here comes the last day of the ICEM 2021, the day 4 of ICEM. I'm Dr. Wei-jun Ong, who is the conference chairman of the ICEM 2021. So I believe that, and welcome back from the lunch. Hope that you have a very good reflection. Right? So I believe that after listening to several talks over the past 3 to 4 days, day 1, day 2, day 3, up to day 4, so I believe that you have some insightful knowledge from experiences as well as knowledge coming from prestigious speakers, and hope that this may be very helpful for you all to proceed for your next coming research activities. So as we know, as a researcher, it's important to know that how we're going to disseminate the knowledge to the scientific community. And as such, I'm very delighted to have several publishers and companies to join us in this particular last event of the ICEM 2021. And I'm very grateful for their participation. So before we begin, if you have any questions regarding the state of the arts publishing, please don't be shy. Please don't feel any hesitation. Please post all your questions in the Q&A box. I'm pretty sure that the editors will be here to assist you, to help you to publish your high impact work in the near future. So without further ado, let's begin our first talk of this satellite events in day 4 of ICEM 2021. So here we have Dr. He Fan from the Chinese Journal of Catalysis. He's going to present a talk on Chinese Journal of Catalysis, an international journal initiated by Chinese Catalysis Society. So allow me to give a very brief biography. Dr. He Fan received his Bachelor of Science BS in 2013 and PhD degree in 2018 in Chemical Engineering from Sichuan University with Professor Chu Liang-ying. He worked as a postdoctoral fellow from 2019 to 2020 in Dalian Institute of Chemical Physics, DICP, Chinese Journal of Catalysis, CAS, in China. Currently, he is the scientific editor of Chinese Journal of Catalysis. Alongside, we have the managing editor of Chinese Journal of Catalysis, Dr. Yin Hongmei, where she received her PhD degrees in chemical engineering from DICP as well, in the Chinese Academy of Sciences, CAS, in 2003. Then she joined the Chinese Journal of Catalysis in the same year, and then she's currently the managing editor of the journal. So without further ado, I pass the stage to Dr. He Fan to share your insights regarding the publication in CJC. The floor is yours, Dr. He Fan.
Can you see my slide?
Currently, I think your slides is not being shared. Probably you can click on the share screen, then you are able to share your PPT to the system. Right?
Can you see my slide now?
You are not able to see your slides. Probably you have to unshare and share the slides again. Oh, now, yes, that's great, Dr. He. Now we can see your slides.
So you can now see.
Yes, we can see, and welcome to our event, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for attending this session. I'm Fan He from the editorial office of Chinese Journal of Catalysis. Today, I'm very glad to have this opportunity to be speaking on the introduction of this journal to you. The Chinese Journal of Catalysis was launched in 1980. Since 2006, it's published by Elsevier. This is the website. Now it's a monthly journal in English. Authors do not need to pay for the submission and publication. CG Cattle aims to publish original, novel, and high-impact research work in catalysis and to promote research development of catalysis to address the issues it's a flagship journal. The transaction of the Catalysis Society China and well recognized with a broad readership. It also serves the academic researchers for the collaboration with the industry. The impact of the journal is increasing every year. The SCI impact factor was 1.5 in 2000, and now it's over 8. This is the JCR category, rank and quartile in chemical and applied chemistry and physical chemistry. The impact factor is 10.3 by today, and it is estimated to be 12 when released in June 2022. There are 7 types of paper. 86% are research articles, including full articles and communications. The reviews we prefer to publish are the manuscript providing comprehensive and critical information of recent progress in catalysis. And unsolved the problems and possible developments should be discussed with new viewpoint and authors' own understanding. Of course, the authors should have published important articles in this field. Recently, we start to publish account papers, but different from reviews. Focus on reviewing the research from the author's own lab. For the highlight perspective and the viewpoint, they are generally invited only. Not invited, authors are encouraged to provide a proposal via email before submission. And you can see more details in Elsevier website. The editors-in-chief of the journal are Professor Li Can and Professor Zhang Tao, who are the members of CAS from the ICP. The editors-in-chief, as well as associate editors, are distinguished experts in catalysis. We have an international editorial board, and the members are well-recognized experts from over 10 countries. More importantly, they are highly involved and dedicated to support and promote the journal. The review of manuscript is similar to many of the international journals, but our process is more rapid, about 3 weeks in general if undergoes peer review process. They are maintaining high standards and good reputation for reader. We hope to accept the papers which catalyst or catalytic reaction, new mechanistic insight, and new and solid structure activity relationship. You have to meet at least one of these criteria. Currently, the rejection rate is about 85%. As in-house editors, we do the preliminary review for each manuscript. In some cases, the manuscript is also pre-screened by the editorial board members before next step to save time for authors and reviewers. In the next several steps, the handling editor are the associate editors in general. But in some cases, if the area of the manuscript is more suitable and well matched with that of the editorial board members, then we together manage the manuscript. This is the normal review process. If your research showcased a significant breakthrough and you want it to be published very soon, or it was peer-reviewed but failed to be accepted by the journals Science, Nature, Catalysis, JACS, for some reasons, with at least one positive reviewer's comments for acceptance, you can submit online or contact us directly via email, providing the comments from previous journal as well as your response to the reviewer's comments. The editors-in-chief or associate editors will rapidly evaluate, and we will give you a very quick response of whether or not for further consideration. Through this way, we published the work on legal of Professor Yan Ning from National University of Singapore. The manuscript was accepted only 6 days after submission. Another example is the work of Professor Li Ying from Zhejiang University of Technology on the mercury catalyst with extraordinary stability. After publication, this work was commented in details by Professor Serp in Chemical Review, and it has realized industrialized production. Products are being used by over 5 enterprises. Such high impact papers we have published around 20 since 2015. We have organized special issues for international congress and symposium, for example, on catalysis for biorefineries in 2013, single item in 2016, and photocatalytic materials in 2019. Many contributions were from the distinguished experts outside of China, and we will organize the special issue for the current conference. As the transaction of the Catalysis Society of China, we published excellent research work of the award winners in catalysis. The Catalysis Achievement Award, the Catalysis Award for Young Scientists, the Catalysis Rising Star Award, and so on, raising the profile of the award winners as well. These are the top cited in CG Cattle since 2018. And the top one is by Professor Weijun Wang, 245 cited. There are 55 highly cited papers and 6 hot papers at the current stage. At CG Cattle Editor, besides the core work of handling manuscripts, we are also promoted by the means of media. In China, the most effective way is WeChat, of course. About 10,000 readers subscribe our channel. We also use platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Urec Alert for global reach. We travel to universities such as Tsinghua University, Huazhong University, and Technology, Beijing University of Chemical Technology, and we attend conference for more than 10 talks every year. We are also organizing symposiums, each time focus one topic, such as catalytic materials, catalytic conversion of carbon dioxide, electrocatalysis, and catalytic materials in chemical processes. We hope to organize an international one outside of China in the future. Okay, that's all. Thank you for attending, and welcome to submit to the special issue for ICEM 2021. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us via this email. We will give a very quick response. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. He Fan, for the very brief remarks regarding the Chinese Journal of Catalysis. Right now, we open for the Q&A sessions. So for the Q&A sessions for satellite events, it will be moderated by both of our hosts, me, myself, as well as Dr. Hao Chunyan, right? So let's make it like a forum for the discussions to try to equip knowledge to the scientific community. I believe for those who are working in the area of catalysis, I think that will be very, very important, right? So probably while waiting for the floors to post more and more questions, right, to the Q&A box, probably I will start with the first question, Dr. He Fan, right? As we know, there are quite a number of catalysis journals, right? We have Chinese Journal of Catalysis. We also have the very traditional journal, for example, Journal of Catalysis, JOC, right? And there's also ACS Catalysis, and also Applied Catalysis A, Applied Catalysis B, or even like Catalysis Today, right? How do you all compare the CJC, Chinese Journal of Catalysis, to other renowned as well as competitor journals? Dr. He Fan, could you hear?
Professor Wang, you mean the compared to other similar journals? What
Yes.
we read?
Compared to other similar journals within the same disciplines, within the same field, right?
Here is a table. Can you see my slide? There are 22 journals that are focusing on catalysis all over the world. Chinese Journal of Catalysis is a top 5 journal. And number 3 is Applied Catalysis B. Number 4 is ACS Catalysis. And number 6 is JC. This is the statistic by day, and we are now in the 4th place, and we'll be very close to ACS Catalysis next year. The IF will be about 12 when released in 2022.
I think this is very, very interesting to know that the IF of the journal keep on increasing from year in to year out, right? Dr. Hao would like to add some comments and insights? Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks for leading me to the next question. Yeah. Dr. He Fan, as a academia and also as a researcher point of view, right? I think it is a process whereby when we submit the journal as a manuscript, there's some of the journal, they will actually request us to select the editors. So in terms of the suitability of the editors and also the associate editors, we know that the best thing is that we need to select the one that close to the field that we are working with. However, there are a numerous type of the naming listed in the editorial board. So based on your experience, could you please provide us some insight to the scholars, all of us, how can we actually select the best editor to fit our paper when we do the submission?
just based on the area of your manuscript. If the area of your manuscript is well matched to the associate editors, because we have 11 associated editors. If your manuscript is well matched to them, then we will assign the manuscript to them. If not, but well matched with the area of our editorial board members, then we can manage the manuscript with editorial board members together.
All right. Okay. Apart from you know, in terms of the selection of editors, right? It is like a myth for us. Basically, when we do the submission, we want to select not from within the region. Some of our researcher where we share that it could be, you know, we got to select, okay, maybe out of the region that we have, or you know, with the limitation, if the number of the editors or the you know, the reviewer that we have is in the limited number. So is this one kind of you know, myth, or probably you can share with your own view on that?
My internet is not very good. Can you repeat the last part of your question?
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So my question is that is it a myth for most of the submission, right? Because we know that when we submit, right, it is one of the what do you call that, advice that we need to submit or select the editor or the reviewer, which is out of the region that we are, the regions, the landscape that we are working with. Probably some from, you know, from this from the other country, not from, you know, Asia or Asia Pacific. Is this something that you actually you could share with us? Yeah.
No,
Hello.
associate editors who are handling your manuscript, we cannot tell the authors.
I pass back to you, Dr. Ong.
So I believe that
And
mainly is we need to select the right associate editor where within the same field for that manuscript, right? I think thanks a lot, Dr. Herfan. In the interest of time, right? Thanks again for sharing us some of the latest information from the Chinese Journal of Catalysis, right? If you have any questions, don't be shy. You can post the questions in the Q&A or in the chat box. I'm pretty sure that Dr. Herfan will be able to assist you alongside the managing editor of Chinese Journal of Catalysis, right? So thanks again, Dr. He, for your participation, right? So in the interest of time, then we have to move on to the second speaker, right? So just now was on catalysis, pretty specific to a discipline. Now we move on to the chemistry, right? So next speaker is Dr. Liu Wenjing from the Royal Society of Chemistry, RSC. Hi, Dr. Liu. Right.
Hello, Professor Wang.
Yeah, nice to meet
Hello.
you. Right. So before I letting Dr. Liu to give a sharing, so allow me to do a very brief biography. So Dr. Liu Wenjing studied chemistry in Xiamen University, right, before moving to University of Strasbourg in France, where she received her PhD degree in organic chemistry. She joined the Royal Society of Chemistry, RSC, in 2013 as the deputy editor of Frontiers Journal, based in Beijing office. She is now the executive editor of Inorganic Chemistry Frontiers, Organic Chemistry Frontiers, as well as Materials Chemistry Frontiers. Congratulations, Dr. Liu, right? Handling 3 different Frontiers journals, right? And I'll pass the stage to you, Dr. Liu.
Yeah, so let me share my slide. Oops. Okay, may I ask if you are seeing the slide?
Yes, Dr. Liu, it's nice. Everything is clear and you are in the full screen mode. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you very much, Professor Ong, for your very kind introduction. And as said, I actually graduated from the College of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering of Xiamen University. And I have spent almost 7 years in Xiamen University. And that is really a beautiful university. And in my mind, it's the most beautiful university in China. And in Xiamen University, I actually learned chemistry and was trained for research in chemistry. And the education I received there actually inspired me to pursue a PhD study and finally into a career in chemistry publishing. So now I'm currently the executive editor of Frontiers Journals. And Frontiers Journals is a collection of journals that we are that we developed in collaboration with the Chinese Chemical Society and top-tier research institutions in China. And now we have 3 titles in the collection. They are in Organic Chemistry Frontiers, Organic Chemistry Frontiers, and Materials Chemistry Frontiers. And later, I will introduce a little bit more in my coming slides. And my work now is mainly to lead the journal's development under the support of editorial board members and editor-in-chiefs. And as a former student of Xiamen University and now an editor of society journals that are committed to serve the chemistry community, I'm actually very excited to have the chance to be involved in the first international conference on energy materials and to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Xiamen University Malaysia and the 100th anniversary of Xiamen University. Actually, we, the RC, has a long-term friendship and collaboration with Xiamen University. And now on our RC journals, we actually have 2 associate editors from Xiamen University. They are Professor Tian Zhongxun, the associate editor of Chemical Society Reviews, and Professor Wang Peiqiang, the associate editor of Organic Chemistry Frontiers. In addition to that, Professor Nanfeng Zheng is also sitting in the editorial board of Inorganic Chemistry Frontiers. Also, we have 6 advisory and community board members coming from Xiamen University and ICEM. And that's including our chair of this conference. So Professor Ong is sitting in the community board of Materials Horizons. And this year, earlier this year, actually, we hosted the Emerging Investigators Forum on the theme of application of artificial intelligence in chemistry and material science in Xiamen University. And the event was supported by the College of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering, and also the State Key Laboratory of Physical Chemistry of Solid Surfaces. Also, in celebration of the 100th anniversary of Xiamen University, our 3 top general chemistry journals, the Chemical Society Reviews, Chemical Science, and ChemCom, jointly published a web-based collection that highlighted 50 articles from the university in the latest 5 years. And the guest editors are Professor Cheng Jun and Professor Ren Bing. Also, as part of the celebration, we have made a video for this really important event. In this video, it includes the congratulations from the RC and also interviews with with researchers in Xiamen University who reviewed the achievements of chemistry research in the university in the past 20 years and their collaborations with us. So for anyone who are interested in watching this video, you're very welcome to go to our WeChat account at RC China to have a seat. So taking this great opportunity today, I'd like to introduce a little bit more about the RC, our publishing activities, and open access publishing to our audience. So firstly, I would like to very briefly introduce the RC. We are actually an international membership body. So we have over 50,000 members from across the globe, and we work to connect the chemists to each other and to the wider society. We actually convene a lot of scientific meetings and events, and it's all about bringing people together to share ideas and also to spark innovations and partnerships. We're very active in education and teaching and learning, and we work to support teachers to inspire next generation of chemists. We're also proactive, we're also active in science policy, and we make sure that the decision makers have the information they need. Moreover, a big part of our activities is that we are a not-for-profit publisher. So we publish and disseminate chemical knowledge, and also to allow researchers to share and build that knowledge. So as you can see here, we are actually very diverse and have a huge number and range of activities. But everything we do as RC actually focus on one goal, and that is to deliver our purpose, to help the chemical science community make the world a better place. Well, I'm an editor, so much of my talk today is going to focus on the role, on the RC's role as a leading publisher of high quality research, and our support for the scientific community through development of our journals. So as the RC, we now publish 49 scientific journals spanning all of the chemical sciences, including good open access journals. For example, our flagship journal, Chemical Science, which is free to read and free to publish. And I will talk in details about OA journals later in my talk. We also publish books. So now we have a large back catalog of ebooks of over 1,000 titles. And also every year we launch about around 100 new book titles. We also publish portfolios of database products like Merck Index and ChemSpider, and also we publish the magazine Chemistry World. And here is a selection of our key journals for energy materials. But of course, there are more titles that material chemists can choose from at the RC. So to explore more titles, you're very welcome to visit our publishing website at pops.rc.org. And looking at those journals that welcome and research on energy materials, we have, of course, our flagship journal, Chemical Science. And in our materials journal portfolios, we have Materials Horizons, and also Journal of Materials Chemistry A, which is specifically for energy materials. And also under these two titles, we have Materials Advances. It is a new OA journal we launched 2 years ago. And in the nano technology journal portfolios, we have a similar structure as for the materials portfolio. So I have nanoscale horizons sitting on the top, aims to publish very important research in the field. And under that, we have nanoscale, actually the largest journal in nanotechnology. And then the nanoscale advances, another open access journal we launched years ago. And in addition to that, we also have a large portfolio of energy and sustainability. So in those portfolio, we have the energy and environmental science, sustainable energy and fuels, and energy advances. And in addition to those journals that is fully owned by the RC, we also have frontiers journals that is jointly owned between the RC and the Chinese Chemical Society. And in the frontiers journals, both inorganic chemistry frontiers and materials chemistry frontiers publish research in materials. And at this conference, material chemistry frontiers, energy, environmental science, sustainable energy and fuels, and energy advances were very proud to be sponsoring the poster prizes at ICEM 2021. So please allow me to spend a few minutes to introduce these 4 journals. And so materials chemistry frontiers is part of the frontiers journals. And the frontiers journals, since it is collaborated with China, they aim to publish the very best research from China and the rest of the world to the global audience. Materials Chemistry Frontiers was launched in 2017, and now it publishes around 1,600 articles a year. It is an international journal that is led by China. It is not only reflected in the makeup of our editorial board. For example, we have editor-in-chief Professor Shu Hongyu based in China, and we have a good amount of associate editor and editorial board members based in China as well. And also in terms of the published content, Materials Chemistry Frontiers, now about 60% of articles published on the journal have at least one author from China. So the journal publishes high quality and topical research on all aspects of materials chemistry. Now we have an impact factor of just below 6.5, but we foresee that this may go over 7.0 next year. And if you want to learn more about this journal, you can follow us on Twitter or via WeChat. So energy and environmental science, I don't think I need to say much about it because it's really well known, I believe, in energy science field. So journal publishes exceptionally important and high quality agenda setting research, tackling the key global and societal challenges of ensuring the provision of energy and protecting our environment for the future. Now, impact factor of ES is just above 38.5. I believe it is among the highest in the categories the journal belongs to. And if you know any outstanding emerging investigators who deserves recognition and has published in ES in the recent 3 years, you're very welcome to nominate the names at this website. So it's a nomination for the 2021 ES lectureship. And we welcome everybody to participate and contribute names. So in terms of sustainable energy and fuels, it is the sister journal to EES, and it aims to drive the development of sustainable energy technology through cutting-edge research. And the editor-in-chief is Gary Rambles. The path factor of sustainable energy and fuel is at 6.3 and above. So energy advances is actually a very new addition to our energy journal portfolio. It's a new open access journal that publishes multidisciplinary research across a broad scope of topics. And it welcomes work that contributes to the development throughout energy science and related fields. Since this this journal is gold open access, but authors are free to publish in the very first 2 years until middle 2024. This removes the barrier to knowledge and makes your research more easily discoverable at no additional costs to the researcher or your founders. So speaking of open access, as I have mentioned at the RC, our aim is to help the chemical science community to make the world a better place. So living in a more transparent research environment nowadays, we want the research work published on our journals to be accessible to people as widely as possible and to be used as easily as possible without any barriers. And we believe Gold Open Access is a route to deliver this. So what is open access? So the open access we'll talk now. In essence, it is the free and permanent, unrestricted online access to scholarly research. And speaking of open access, actually there are two types. So one is gold open access, which we will mainly focus on today, and also green open access. And in gold open access, when an article is published at APC, so article processing charge is paid for the publishing services, and it can be the founders that provide the funding, or sometimes it can be the researchers, or now in many cases, it is institutions that support the OA publishing. So when an article is published, it is made immediately open to everyone. So people can read and download without restrictions. And there is no payment from researchers on the access. Also, the license to publish for OA content allows users to download, copy, reuse, and distribute data very widely. This ensures the maximum use of the information, and so driving the innovation as well. So that's the gold open access. And in terms of the green open access, actually, the green open access papers initially published in a subscription journal, actually. So they're not publishing in journals that purely for gold open content. And also the accepted manuscripts, not the version that has been edited or formatted, but the version that is just after acceptance will be deposited in a not-for-profit repository after an embargo period. And in the RC, we actually allow authors to deposit accepted manuscripts version in an institutional repository or other not-for-profit repository after an embargo period of 12 months. So Gold Open Access, unlike Green Open Access, unlike the Gold OA, it is actually free for researchers, and majority of publishers already allow some form of deposition. However, there are apparently some disadvantages with Green OA. For example, it is subject to the embargo period. That means the latest research is not freely accessible. And also, there is no version control of article deposited. Folks, that is to say that, for example, the version of just accepted manuscripts, it can contain some errors, for example, spelling errors or some format errors. And it really depends on how the author revised their manuscript in the revision stage. And also, Green OA has limited discoverability because it really depends on the visibility of the institutional repositories. And also, it's not an independently self-sustaining model, since the repositories still cost money to set up and run. So in RC, actually the focus of our publishing activities in the coming years actually concentrate and focus on the Gold Open Access. So why we at the RC are so passionate about Gold OA? First of all, is because facilitating maximum access to research actually aligns with our purpose, which is advancing the chemical sciences to make the world a better place. And also, it is good for the society. So evidence have shown that when an article is published in OA, we can see that the OA research is read by more scientists. For example, in our portfolios, we actually see downloads per article actually increases for OA content. Also, the research of that science is broader. The reach of that science could be broader as well. The research actually goes to more people, and people go to the research are more interdisciplinary, which means your work, if published in open access, is reaching a broader audience. Moreover, the work can be used by researchers immediately and cited faster and more often. And that is because the access is immediate. Furthermore, funders are driving the transition to Gold OA as well, because they want the research they fund can be widely accessible. The other reason why we're so passionate about OA is because the community actually wants us to be involved in the OA. So years ago, we did a survey asking people to what extent they want their society and publishers to be driving the transition to Gold OA. And over 50% of them think we should be doing more, and around 20 to 30% felt that the proactive approaches as RSC are about right. So we really take those into heart and shift a lot of our publishing activities and publishing services where we're embarking on with you as researchers. So here is what has happened in the past 10 years on open access. So we can see that not only the research output in chemistry is growing, the OA content is growing as well in the past 10 years. In 2021, the proportion of Gold OA among all publications in chemistry is just above 10%. And now in last year, the proportion increased to 30% and above. And as the RSC, we publish within our portfolio, we publish OA content about 30% of our portfolio. So going back to our views and our position on open access, we're highly committed to increase access to high quality scholarly research. And we see open access the route to do that. Also, we want all scientists to access research as widely as possible, and we do acknowledge that it is extremely important to our community that the global transition to open access should be sustainable, secure, and inclusive. And of course, we want to work with research community and our customers to support them and be involved in the ongoing discussions. And currently, as the RSC, we publish 12 OA journals, and more titles will be launched in the coming years. And among those 12 Gold Open Access titles, one of them is chemical science. So chemical science is actually a little bit special among the open access journal because it is free to publish and free to read. So we call it Diamond Open Access. It's still a type of Gold OA, but it's more extreme. So it's free for authors as well. And why we can do this for chemical science is because we reinvest the surpluses that generated from our other journals to chemical science. And I believe it's also a part of our gesture in giving back to the community. And for and in addition to chemical sciences, we that is free to publish. We also waived the APC, so article processing charges for any new titles in the very first 2 years of launch. And that is also to better support our authors. And for other OA journals at the RSC, an APC will be applied. And publishing Gold Open content can be Gold OA journals that I mentioned just before, and also it can be published on subscription model, journals of subscription models. So at the RSC, any journal, any subscription model journals, we actually offer to our authors an option to publish OA content. And at the moment, when an article is accepted, the authors will see that option, and if they choose to publish, go to OA only when the APC will be charged. And for each individual article that is published under Gold OA, is free to read from date of publication, while other articles in the subscription model journals will remain available with subscription. And in terms of the article processing charges, our APCs are actually among the lowest in our industry. And we also offer a range of waivers and discount options. For example, we offer discounts to RC members, to institutions that subscribe to some of our journal packages, and also regions that are short of R&D funding. So in this figure, we show a comparison of APCs from RC journals and some other publishers. And as you can see here, normally when for smaller and high impact journals, a higher APC will be charged, while mega journals like RC Advances, ACS Omega or Plus Ones, the APCs are among the lowest. And but no matter in which category, our APCs are actually among the lowest. For example, RC Advances will only charge £750 each paper. And for hybrid papers, we on hybrid journals, Gold Open papers on hybrid journals, we charge 1,360 to our members, while on ACS, $3,500 USD dollars were charged to their members, and an extra £1,000 will be charged if the authors would like to publish under CC BY license. Well, as the RSC, we don't charge extra for CC BY license. Yeah, so that's an overview of the APCs. And in the end of my talk, I will also to mention the preprint server. We actually launched a joint together with a number of chemical societies. And it is also one of our important movements in pushing the transition, not only to OA, but widerly to open access, open science, actually. So, yeah. So if you're interested in finding out more about open access at the RSC, please visit our website on open access. And yeah, that's the end of my talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Liu, right, for taking your time as well as to share to the audience and to the floor regarding the journals from the RSC. Right, we know that there are many, many different RSC journals coming from different platforms as well as different disciplines. So I'm pretty excited to know the latest developments from the RSC. Right, thanks a lot, Dr. Liu, right, for the discussion. Right, I think we have some time. We have about 10 minutes for the discussions, right, as a forum. So, and the questions will be posted by the floors, and Dr. Hao and I myself will try to interact and socialize, see that let's make our discussion fruitful, right? So probably I will begin the first question by Dr. Liu, right? So Nowadays, we know that energy advances will be officially launched probably early next year.
Pardon?
Sorry, can you hear me, Dr. Liu?
Yes.
Sorry for that interruption. So from my understanding, energy advances will be officially launched in January 2022.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the correction. Yeah.
No worries, no worries. As we know, there are quite a number of advances journal. We have RSC advances, right? Then we have like nanoscale advances, materials advances, and now we have another fourth advances journal, right? There will be energy advances. How are we going to like differentiate from one journal to another? Probably you can enlighten us so that we can pick the right journals for the submission.
You mean for advances journals only?
Yes. Yep.
So actually, if you look at our titles, every journal under the advanced title, they have a different scope, actually. So for example, for energy advance, from the name, we can tell that it's mainly for energy. So it could be energy science, energy materials, or even industry aspects in energy, for example, to develop a sustainable world. And for materials advances, it's actually for materials. So it's not only for energy materials, but all types of materials. And nanoscale advances is for nanotechnology. So it can be nano materials, but also it can be nanotechnology on other parts. For example, maybe nanotechnology. So anything related with on the nanoscale. And Ars Advances is actually the first advanced journal we launched in the RC, and the scope of this journal is very broad. So typically we welcome any research that have advance in chemical research in Ars Advances. So basically, you just need to you can see more details on the journal's website, how they define their scope, and also maybe you can see what the communities where your communities usually publish on those journals, and from there, I think researchers can find out which journal would be a better fit to their research.
Thanks, Dr. Liu. So in other words, to all the audience and the floor, probably it would be best to have a look at the scope of the journal in the respective website. And at the same time, probably can have a look at the publications to gauge yourself whether your work is more relevant in which particular journals. Although I know that, as we know that this research is multidisciplinary, some of the work can be in RSC advances, or some even can be in nanoscale advances. So I think it really depends on the scope. Then I think that will be much better, right?
Yeah.
And probably I have one more questions before we have questions from the floors as well as from Dr. Hao, right? Regarding like nowadays we talk about science is open, right? And we talk about like double-blinded or double anonymized peer review process. To my knowledge, currently we have like chemical communications is doing for the double-blinded peer review process. Yeah. If I'm not wrong, RSC advances as well, right? That's to my knowledge. So how do you, I mean, from editors' viewpoints regarding the double-blinded as well as the single-blinded peer review process?
You mean, okay. So you're right that we offer both single-blind and double-blind peer review at Chemical Science, and also I think in Chemical Science and also in ChemCom now. So I think it has their own advantages. So we don't need to see more about single blind, I believe, because it's very commonly used. And for double blind, I think some researchers believe that it can remove some barriers from the editors and also reviewers because the identity of authors are anonymized. So for example, I think which year we launched double blind in ChemCom, maybe in 2017 or 2016. And so far, about 6% of ChemCon authors actually chose double-blind peer review, and most of them are actually from countries like India, Iran, or Brazil. So you can feel that authors from that countries are usually could have faced embarrassed from some reviewers, and yeah, so that's why the double-blind peer review is more welcome there. But however, we do acknowledge a challenge in double-blind peer review. That is, it is very hard for authors to fully anonymize themselves. For example, when you are describing the research conducted in your laboratory, you can easily tell your identity through self-citations, for example. So we to help researchers to better anonymize themselves, we also published a checklist. So which summarize some key points that authors should pay attention when compose their manuscripts. And for anyone who are interested in that, I believe the checklist is available on the website of ChemCon.
Sure, Dr. Liu, I think that's very important because sometimes it's very hard to hide everything, especially some of the research activities prior to that, right? So then for sure, the identity or based on the references, somehow the research group or the research author's name will be somehow be so-called indirectly appear in the site references, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Dr. Hao can have some comments. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ong. Yeah, in fact, I have a so-called technical questions like to Dr. Liu. Could you please distinguish for us, right? Because very often that we come across with like gold open access, green open access. So would you please distinguish for us what are these two different features open for the the readership and also the scientist?
Yeah, so for gold open access is actually a model that is to publish the research upon payments. So authors actually pay for publishing their paper under a gold open access model. And once the paper is accepted and published in a journal, for example, it becomes open to the public, to everyone immediately. And in the contrast, for green OA, people actually publish in a very normal way on a subscription model. So when we see a subscription model, it means actually the laboratories purchases the journals, and only people with institutional accesses can read those journals. And people without accesses or outside of institutions, they don't have access to the journal, including the green open access papers that is published on those journals. However, the authors are allowed to deposit their green OA papers after an embargo period. For example, at the RC, after 12 months of acceptance of publications, you can deposit your article, for example, in your institutional repository. However, the version you deposit in the repository cannot be the online publishing version in the journal. It should be the accepted version. The version that is accepted by reviewers after also revision. So it is not being formatted. It does not have, for example, an RC format, or it hasn't not being corrected for any for example, tapping errors. Yeah. So, but one advantage of Grant OA is that authors do not need to pay, and people who have access to your institution or repository can read your accepted version of your research article without payment. However, people are not aware of your institutional repository. They cannot access your paper freely. So I think that's the main difference between these two models.
Right, thank you very much, Dr. Liu. I think in the interest of time, we would like to thanks again for your insightful, sharing regarding the tips and, some myth behind the RIC organization and so on. So allowed us to move on. And first of all, we would like to thank to Dr. Liu for joining this time. Let us moving on with the next scientific sharing. Okay.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Liu, for your time.
Thanks, Dr. Ong. So allow me to welcome to our next scientific publishing event. The third speakers we have now joining us in this room, we have Miss Cheng Julin, from Clarivate. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrongly spelled.
That's fine.
Julin, yeah. So well, once again, thanks for joining us at this afternoon event as before the closing remark. So allow me to give a brief biography to our audience today. So Ms. Julin, as a regional solutions consultant specializing in scientific and scholarly research. Okay, Ms. Julin is responsible for pre-sales and post-sales client engagements across Southeast Asia. She has extensive experience in STM publishing, covering various research fields such as medical education, medical informatives, and evidence-based medicine. During her career, she represented leading academic publishers such as Elsevier, Sage, and British Medical Journal as a speaker at seminars and conferences across South Asia Pacific. So Ms. Julin's passion for marketing, client engagements, and academia combined with her experience in different publishing houses enables her to provide a unique blend of insights and stakeholder perspectives regarding academic research output and research evaluation. Now, without further lingering, let us pass the floor to Ms. Julin. Ms. Julin, the floor is yours now.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Hao and Dr. Ong. So I want to first of all congratulate Xiamen University and Xiamen University Malaysia campus on your respective anniversaries. And thank you for inviting me to partake in today's events. I'm very happy to share with you some of my thoughts around strategic collaborations and identifying the downstream potential of research using some of the resources available on Clarivate. So for the interest of internet connectivity, I'll be turning off my video, but I'll come back to you with the video during the Q&A session. Okay, so for today's topic, yes, although I'm representing Clarivate, the Web of Science, and I think when we first started discussing this, Dr. Ong, we were talking about sharing about journals to publish in, some publishing strategies, but I decided that on top of selecting journals, I think the most fundamental question is, how do you design a research topic that would be of interest to high impact journals that you are targeting? Because I think every PhD student, every postgraduate student is always looking to publish, but journals have their own objective. They want to be able to accept high impact, high quality topics so that it helps to advance science. So in order to bridge that gap, what should be needed? And that's how this topic was derived. Identifying cross-discipline collaborations. What are the potential downstream impacts of the research that you want to do? Okay. So what are the opportunities available now in today's time? Okay, as researchers in today's world, there's an increasing need to explore opportunities to drive societal and economic development through your research. So apart from thinking about the science behind the research that you're doing, you need to think about how will this help society? How will this help the environment? So that is a very important topic to think about. So ultimately, there will be a challenge of limited research funding, which has spurred the need for research focused on real-world outcomes, and technology transfer needs to be accelerated and socially responsible. So for today's speech, I actually tried to attend a few of the scientific lectures during the conference. So I'll be showing you two examples of cross-discipline collaborations. So this is from Dr. Zhong from POSTECH. And what appealed to me was his application of the electronic skin. Okay, so it's like a combination of material science, fabrication, electronics. Okay? So how did this come about? It's actually through a lot of cross-discipline collaboration. If you look at his co-authors, some of them are from the hospital. They are in surgery, yeah. But he himself might be an expert in material science. Okay? So if for yourself you are inspired to do something like this, how can you start exploring this cross-discipline research? Okay, let's take this stretchable electronics as an example. On Web of Science, you will be able to do a quick search on stretchable electronics, but ultimately using a resource like Web of Science, you will be able to have a look and see the content. So we have high quality content to help you to explore the multidisciplinary approaches to science. What do I mean by this? So on Web of Science itself, we index journals across science, social science, arts and humanities, emerging sources citation index, conference proceedings, as well as books. And all these cover all disciplines. And if you do a search on, say, stretchable electronics or stretchable electronics on Web of Science, you are essentially slicing through all the disciplines to see whether there's any mention of stretchable electronics in any of the content. Okay. So the database itself covers around 21,000 journals, and these are all curated in-house. And as I mentioned, it covers science, social science, arts and humanities, conference proceedings, and books. Okay. So because of all this comprehensive data and information, you're able to quickly see some of this information here. So you're able to look at this number of countries. So if you search on stretchable electronics on Web of Science, you can see the top countries that are doing this area of research. Okay, and then you can also click through to see the institutions. So which are those institutions that are doing this research? Okay. Then subsequently, you can then also explore other research areas. So besides looking at material science, are there any other research areas or specializations that could be of interest or have breakthrough? Okay. On Web of Science, we have 254 Web of Science research categories to look at. So it is not a broad area. Okay. You are able to pinpoint specific areas of interest and take a look at the red box on the bottom right. So I've encircled robotics. So if in the event you're interested to see, hey, how is stretchable electronics going to apply to robotics? Take a look at those 34 documents, and you might come across this particular paper on flexible and stretchable electronics that paved the way for soft robotics. And what is the application? How has it been applied? So in order to find its application after its publication, so meaning this paper is actually like the starting point of using stretchable electronics on soft robotics. So after this paper has been published, what has been done? What research has been uncovered? So by clicking on this 301, this number 301 on Web of Science, you're starting to explore what we call the citation network. So on Web of Science, we index all the references of all the publications in the database. What does this mean to you as a researcher? It means that you are able to comprehensively see the relationship between paper A and paper B. This will help you to see the evolution of the technology and see where that trend is leading. So let's look at these 301 papers. By exploring this network, you can then suddenly find this particular paper. So I actually did this probably yesterday as an example. So I was discovering through the citation network, I was looking through the papers, and this came about, which is intelligent soft surgical robots for next generation minimally invasive surgery. So it ended up as stretchable electronics applied in medical research, in medical surgery, sorry. So this was a collaboration, this particular paper was a collaboration between robotics experts, urology experts, and perhaps material scientists as well. So if you yourself are a stretchable electronic specialist, okay, how would you leverage on cross-discipline experts? So people that you might not be familiar with, okay? Perhaps you want to look for somebody who specializes in robotics, in surgery. So, but how do you find that besides doing a Google search? Okay, so on Clarivate, at Clarivate, we have this resource that we call Insights Benchmarking and Analytics. And on this database, we give you citation indicators that will give you an added perspective on whether that particular collaborator will be the most suitable one for your research. Okay, how do we do this? So take, for example, if you are looking for, if you are based in Malaysia, let's say, and you are looking to collaborate with a specific country. So out of, let's say earlier on, I showed you US, China, Germany, Korea. Okay? How do you select which countries will be the best collaborators? Number one, you think about their publications. So are they the experts? Do they actually publish a lot of research on that genre? Okay? Besides volume, okay, you also need to look at performance, citation performance. But citation performance can be a little bit tricky because most of the time, if the papers stay longer are published for a longer time, they tend to accumulate more citations. So think about normalizing those indicators. Is there a way to compare? No, doesn't matter whether it's a new paper or an old paper. How do I tell whether which paper is performing better, apart from just looking at citation numbers? Okay? So Insights Benchmarking and Analytics is a tool that helps you think about other factors that might make a collaborator more suitable for you, because not every country is open to international collaboration. Okay, you'll be surprised because if you take a look at the data, it will show that there are certain countries that are more open to research collaboration compared to others. Okay? So indicators like percentage of international collaborations, category normalized citation impact, all these are examples of indicators that would help you to make a decision. So on this platform itself, the data comes from Web of Science core collection. So earlier on, I shared with you what the Web of Science core collection was. It included all the various journals that we've indexed. Okay? So you will be able to quickly use this data for added decision-making. This is a visualization. This is an example of a visualization that you can do on Insights, where you can compare three-dimensional. So on this graph itself, it's called a scatter plot. I've incorporated three indicators. Web of Science documents, which is for volume. CNCI, category normalized citation impact, which is a normalized indicator for performance of the paper, of the publications. And the size of the bubble will be the percentage of international collaborations. So by looking at this three-dimensional scatter plot, we can then quickly identify, okay, US is very extreme. So for robotics in surgery, so this is based on a custom search of Web of Science documents, US is very extreme, so they have a very high volume, but their percentage of international collaborations is actually not as high as the others on this chart. So I've removed them from this to give you an added perspective of the other countries. Okay, so you see Italy is right behind US with 1,229 publications. Their CNCI is 1.46. So a little bit about CNCI. No matter which specialization you look at in insights, okay, CNCI of 1.0 will always reflect the global benchmark. It will be always the global performance average. If any country or entity performs above 1, it means that they are performing above global average. So on this chart, you can then see if I want to go for find a collaborator for robotics in surgery, which country should I look at? Definitely Italy, UK, now perhaps Germany, because Germany is still sitting on the borderline, which is 1.11. Okay? But these two, Italy and UK, they are actually performing very well. Okay, so there's no harm in trying to find a collaborator from those two countries. You could even go into the top institutions. So similarly, on Insights, you have a table and you can quickly see all the various indicators that I mentioned. Look at the institutions. You can also look at the percentage of authorship. So you can do first author, last author, or corresponding author. And from there, you can see, so Yonsei, yes, with 175 publications, CNCI of 1.41, 37% international collaborations, and 64% corresponding author. What does this mean? It means that this university leads most of their publications. So the researchers from Yonsei would be the ones that are leading their research. Okay, same thing. So you can read the other institutions similarly. Okay. You can also delve into the top authors. So from the country, you delve into institutions, and then you go into the authors. So for authors, it can get a little bit trickier because you want to be able to evaluate and identify the top authors in the area and also make informed decisions on their suitability based on their research impact and performance using this tool. So what I'm showing you here on this screen is derived from our Web of Science. So we have the author impact beam plot. So to give you a closer look of what this is the author impact beam plot that you can find for authors on Web of Science. So what we've done is we have plotted all his publications into this graph so that you can see on average each publication year, how is his performance of his papers? Okay, is it doing well? How is he doing? So we put this on a graph of until 100 percentile. So anything on the closer to the 100, it means that it is a good performing researcher. Okay, so this gives you an added perspective apart from just looking at the H index and the citation counts. Now, what about the commercial potential of research? Okay. Now, for this particular segment, I managed to attend Dr. Bin Liu's talk yesterday on AIE, okay, aggregation-induced emission molecules. And it was a very interesting talk. And what appealed to me was, in actual fact, this particular molecule. So disclaimer here, I am not an energy expert. I'm not a nanoparticles expert, but I tried to understand the research as much as I can. So what fascinated me was not just the colorful pictures that she was showing, but in actual fact, she was thinking these molecules can emit light. Okay, it helps to emit light and make reading cells easier for a longer time. Okay, but then what helped her was she and her team thought about further applications. So how is it going to be applied in, say, biomedical field? So can I add something to the molecule so that it has a therapeutic function? Okay, these are the questions that she asked herself in order to make her research more appealing to society and the applications become wider. So if you want to pursue the same fields like what Dr. Liu Bin has done, okay, let's take a look at what you can do. So most of you are not, actually most of you are not in biomedical, or most of you are not in medicine, life sciences area. Okay, so perhaps you need to use a resource to give you an idea of the potential of such technology in life science. So to explore the potential of aggregation induced emission molecules in the life sciences space. You could first explore how competitive this landscape is. So on this screen, you can see that the information shown here is from Clarivate's solution called Cortellis Drug Discovery Intelligence. And Cortellis Drug Discovery Intelligence, CDDI, actually empowers you to make go or no-go research decisions with speed and confidence by tapping into and analyzing critical R&D data from a single platform. So we are incorporating, like what you see on the screen, anything about drugs, anything about the literature, any scientific literature out there that has been published. Has there been any patents filed already? What are the genes that are targeted? Okay, so with just a few clicks on CDDI, you can access and analyze key scientific information and insights to prioritize development candidates, identify potential targets and experimental models, and assess the competitive landscape earlier than any drug R&D database. So how many drugs are, so an example of a question you might ask at this point is, how many drugs are there under development or experimentation that used aggregation-induced emission in its treatments? Okay, so with this database, you can then answer that question and find the potential. So how do we gather this data? So the team of scientists behind Cortellis references over 462,000 patents and over 2.7 million publications, and they pull data from over 250 conferences that we attend each year, in addition to pulling data from company websites and staying on top of the news. So imagine this, all the information, yes, you could get it, but you would spend months and months gathering all these data points, or even a team. But now on this platform, everything has been combined and put into a very convenient platform for you to access. So take this other chart that we can find on CDDI. From the 2 drugs that we have identified before, okay, it shows that there's very limited drug therapy using this technology area. Okay, so from what I gathered from Dr. Liu Bin's session yesterday, the AI molecules have promise in diagnostic and therapeutic areas. So the disease areas that she was looking at was things like curing bacterial infections, which is what these 2 drugs are targeting on. Okay, you can see here bacterial infections, but there was also a mention on tumor, okay, reducing tumor cells, or even a combination therapy in anti-tumor immunotherapy. So by looking at this chart here, you can see that, yes, those 2 drugs are in this area, and they are all both still in preclinical phase. So as a researcher, you would say, hey, there hasn't been any drugs launched yet. So perhaps there's potential for me. Okay, so apart from that, the next thing you probably need to do is to understand the competitive landscape for that particular drug treatment or the target therapeutic area, meaning what disease are you trying to address. Okay, so using a database like this Cortellis Competitive Intelligence that we have, okay, you can easily look broadly at what is the overall landscape across the end-to-end process from early research discovery stage all the way through to market. Okay, so it will help you to quickly get information you need so that you can make judgments on what's the potential market value. Okay, because when you're looking for funding, okay, so let's say you're doing this life science research in collaboration. You might also want to find funders. But what do funders want? Funders want to know what's the potential, what's the commercial potential, what's the downstream potential for your research. Okay, so making informed decisions using a database like Cortellis Competitive Intelligence will definitely help you there. So this is just a screenshot of what we have on the database. So let's say, for example, I want to look at the application of this technology in MRSA infection. I believe Dr. Liu mentioned this yesterday during her speech. She talked about MRSA infection. So in actual fact, it could be utilized in this technology, this disease. So for this landscape of MRSA infections, how many drugs are there already active in development? There's 91. But how many are launched? 13. Okay. Which are the companies, pharma companies that are active in this area? So these are your potential funders or collaborators or corporate collaborators. Which are the countries? Okay. You could even look at the potential market size. What is the sales and forecast of the current drugs available? Okay. Yes, those drugs have been launched, but you can also dive deep and see whether any of these drugs have used that technology that we were talking about, which is the aggregation-induced emission molecules. Okay. So which of those treatments are looking at nanoparticle formulation? So that application actually is called nanoparticle formulation. And you can do a quick search. And for MRSA infection alone, there's only 3 drugs in active development. Okay. And none of these 3 drugs have been launched yet. Okay. You will also be able to see which are the 2 companies that are doing this. Further to that, you can go on to explore how clinical trials are run for that particular therapeutic area. So in this case, MRSA infection. What are the clinical trials? What are the patents that have been filed? And this patent information will be important to check on for the patentability of the technology that your team is working on. Now, if you are looking to partner with pharma companies, you can also look at the deals intelligence that we have on the platform. So you can see what are the investors looking for, where are they investing. So pharma companies are more and more looking at partnering with academia. And the reason is because the pharma companies are being very stretched in terms of building their pipeline of drugs to be launched into the market. So if they're running out of ideas, they would try and look for academia partnerships. And in order for you as an academia to win that battle, to attract these funders, then what's better than knowing what they are after? Okay, so are they looking at research only? Are they doing research plus manufacturing? So all these information can be found on the platform. So I've shared with you things that you should consider by looking at strategic partnerships across disciplines, looking at downstream potential, commercial outcome for the research that you want to pursue. So I'm going to give you a bit of a bonus topic. I hope I still have some time. I believe I have maybe at least 10 or so minutes for my topic. So I'm going to give you a bonus topic. So using the journal citation reports to identify the right journals to publish in. Because this year, we did a big revamp for the journal citation reports, which is the home of the journal impact factor. Okay? So what is the journal citation reports? In case any of you are not familiar, I'm just going to show you some statistics first. So on an annual basis, you're seeing around 3 million papers published annually. Okay? And it covers around 42,500 scholarly journals, around 14,000 plus open access journals, and more scary, 13,000 predatory journals. So what are these predatory journals? These are journals that prey on unknowing researchers. Basically, they might not have a good peer review process. They do not review the papers before they publish it, and they just collect your APC. Okay, so researchers have to be more and more careful in today's climate in publishing. Okay, so in order to address that, we have been advocating the use of journal citation reports as a way to identify potential journals that you could publish in. And why do we advocate this? It's because Web of Science and journal citation reports are publisher neutral databases, meaning we are not publishers. We do not publish journals, and the selection of the journals to be indexed in our resource are all done in-house. So we have our own editorial team. They go through and a strict evaluation process and criteria when selecting journals, even if they are open access. So because of this quality control, basically we monitor all the journals when they are indexed in our database, make sure that they continue to follow the quality standards and the impact standards we uphold. Otherwise, they will be removed from the list. And we also provide multiple indicators, so additional indicators to think about whether a journal is really suitable for your manuscript. Okay. So what's new in the latest journal citation reports? So we have 70% more content. And where does this content come from? In the past, journal citation reports used to only cover the science and the social science citation indexes. But this year, we have decided to include the Arts and Humanities Citation Index as well as the Emerging Sources Citation Index. So the Emerging Sources Citation Index are journals that cover all disciplines, but they have met our 24 quality criteria. So that's why we decided that, yes, we hear the feedback from the researchers, we will include them in the latest journal citation reports. But that does not mean that these journals have an impact factor. So I wanted to elaborate on this. Only the science and the social science citation index journals have a journal impact factor. The arts and humanities and the emerging sources citation index are included in JCR, but they do not get a journal impact factor. Okay, they will get new indicators. So we have a new indicator that was released in JCR this year, and they will be given to also the arts and humanities and emerging sources citation index. So what is this new indicator? So this new indicator is the journal citation indicator. I think earlier on, when I was going through Insights Benchmarking and Analytics database, I mentioned about this indicator called Category Normalized Citation Impact, CNCI. So the performance of each paper is given a CNCI, meaning in comparison to other papers in that same field, how are they performing? So a CNCI of 1 is always global average. So same thing for JCI, Journal Citation Indicator. A number of 1.0 would mean that the journal is performing at global average amongst the journal in its category. Okay. If it's performing above 1, it's above, below 1 is below average. Okay, so that's how you remember it. So how is this different from the journal impact factor? The journal impact factor is not a normalized indicator, meaning that you cannot compare, say, a veterinary science journal with a nanotechnology journal just by looking at the journal impact factor. The reason is because the journal impact factor of these two specializations could be very different. Okay, so for example, business or arts journals tend to have lower citation counts, and therefore their journal impact factor tends to be slightly lower. Because if you can see how it's calculated here, it's a pure formula of citations in 2020 to items in 2018 and 2019. Okay? There's no normalization in place. So if you compare a journal in business with a journal in nano, you can't really tell which one is better than the other. So for the journal citation indicator, on the other hand, the CNCI is already a normalized indicator. We have already averaged out based on that particular specialization and that particular category. So the average of all the CNCIs across these years, which is 2017 to 2019, will be the way that we calculate the JCI. Okay. So how does this apply to you? Okay. Now, many institutions have always advocated that they should publish in a journal in Web of Science that is in, say, a specific quartile, Q1. Okay? So under Q1 journals, not every journal might be suitable for your manuscript. How can you choose it then? This screen capture is from Journal Citation Reports on nanoscience and nanotechnology category in SCIE. So these are journals that have a journal impact factor. There are 107 journals, and you can see here, these are the journal impact factor and the respective quartile columns. The new indicator, will give you an added perspective, meaning out of all these Q1 journals, which one is the better performing one in its category? So you can see that, yes, even though Nature Nanotechnology is number 2, okay, it is performing much better than Nature Reviews materials. Okay, so you could use this as an additional indicator to see which are the journals that is most impactful and a more well-deserved home for your hard work. The other indicator that you would want to consider is the percentage of articles in citable items. So in JCR, when we calculate the journal impact factor, we only take into account articles and reviews. Okay, so what this means that the citable items portion is articles plus reviews. So if we say that the percentage of articles in citable items is 1.52, what does this mean? It means that this journal, Nature Reviews Materials, publishes only 1.52% of its content as an article. So this, if you are writing an article, like a research paper, research article, this might not be the suitable home. Similarly, for say nano energy, 97% of its content is articles. So if you're writing a review paper, this might not be a suitable home. Okay, so just utilizing these various indicators can give you an added perspective to selecting journals for your publication. So my final few slides, okay, before we go into Q&A, my topic today is helping you to bring your research from ideation to outcome. So finding a good topic and then ultimately finding the best home for your journal so that it provides you with societal and commercial impact. Okay. So the holistic focus and scale of Clarivate's capabilities provides end-to-end data-driven insights to support multiple stakeholders and enhance value. So we now have an exclusive and transformative portfolio of unified solutions to help researchers and institutions further accelerate their innovation and product lifecycle from ideation through to outcome. So Clarivate has the richest and widest collection of synergistic data sets that underpin our best-in-class interoperable solutions like Web of Science, Insights, Journal Citation Reports, and Cotalis. So we look forward to working with you in partnership to bring the most potential out of your research work. So if you're keen to find out more about the solutions that I have shared with you, do reach out to me via this email address, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you and your team. All right, so now we have Q&A, Dr. Ong.
Right, thanks, Ms. Jilin. Yeah, so indeed, yeah, the talk is pretty, pretty important, especially for the young researcher who would like to expand their horizon when they started their career, their research career at the early stage. I think this is some sort of like a tips, yeah, when how they actually can engage the topic more deepen. Yeah, so I think we have 2 questions posted on the chat box here. So allow me to read out, yeah. So Ms. Julene, what are the criterions for new journal to be indexed by Clarivate?
Okay, so that's a very good question. I think it's one of the most frequently asked questions when we do this topic. Okay, so the journals that are indexed in Web of Science has to go through an evaluation process. So first of all, they have to sign up for a publisher portal, put their journal in there, and then there are 24 quality criteria that are available on the website. Maybe later on I'll publish the link onto the chat so that you can go in and have a look. But we will evaluate the journals based on the 24 quality criteria. If they meet the 24 quality criteria, they will be first indexed in ESCI, which is the Emerging Sources Citation Index. If they meet an additional 4 more impact criteria, then they will go into the specialized collections, which is the SCIE, SSCI, or AHCI. So in this case, the question is about SCIE. So if they meet all 28 criteria, 24 plus 4, okay, then they will be going into the SCIE.
Okay, understand. Very good question and answer. The second question goes for Ms. Jing again. How do you compare between Clarivate JCR with Shimago journal, especially on different indexing methodology?
Also a very common question. Okay, so one thing to note is that I don't work for Skimago, so I won't be able to explain about their methodology, but there is a clear difference between the selection criteria. So our selection criteria will be documented on the website that I'm going to share with you, and that is how we select our journals. And the way that we assign the journals to various subject categories can also be different. So there are instances where one journal, say nano energy, okay, I'm just giving an example. It might be a Q1 journal in Web of Science, or let's say Q2, okay, let's say a Q2 journal in Web of Science, but it could be a Q1 journal on Skimago, okay, and the reason is because of the number of journals that are indexed in the various categories across the two. So on Web of Science, what we do is Q1 is definitely the top 25%. It's all equal portions. But for other databases, it might be slightly different. So they might not have equal number of journals for each quartile. Okay, so there could be some difference there. So I hope that answers your question. So two different companies, two different methodologies, but I can only comment on the Clarivate one.
Sure, thanks a lot. Just a personal question for myself. As I may notice that the Clarivate or the Web of Science, lately they have actually revamped the content, and they are still putting the widgets stating the Web of Science at classics. And I know that there is a time limit, right, until probably end of the year, right? So question as in for my interest, is there any newly features that will be added to the Web of Science to facilitate the researcher to do more comprehensive finding, such as like the topic or the relevant search? Could you please give us some insight about that?
Yeah, sure. So on Web of Science, we are going to do something called a panoramic view. So on Web of Science platform itself, yes, the core collection is the heart, but it is also connected to other external databases like Cialo or the Chinese Citation Index, and also the other specialized indexes like BioSys. So that we are working on something called the panoramic view, where you can do an immediate search across all these databases and surface all the relevant information from all these different databases. So more data points for you to make decisions on whether specific articles or records are important for you. The other thing that we are working on is also the enhanced cited references. So it's one thing to see all the references on a particular article, but how are the references mentioned in text? Okay, because some articles are very long, and for us to go and trace back and see where those references are mentioned can be quite tricky. So what we are working on is to help researchers quickly find out, has this reference been mentioned only in the introduction, or is it in the body, meaning more on the discussion side? So if it's mentioned more on the discussion side, it could show that that reference becomes more important. Yeah. So that is another thing that we are working on, but we are continuing to improve. But if you have any further suggestion, do let us know, because we are continuing to improve on the new database. Yeah.
Yeah, very exciting, and anticipating for the newly features. We hope to see that very, very soon. So I think, Dr. Ong, do you have any to add up?
Hi, Ms. Jiling, right?
Hi.
Very, very nice talk. Again, thanks for your time to tell us the first parts regarding like the Clarivate products. I think that's very important, right? We as a researcher, especially if we are in Malaysia or Singapore, I think it's important to know, right? How can we collaborate? And through that particular platforms, we are able to know, right, between the corporates as well as the academia. I think that's very important. As well as, since this is a research, is interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, if you have to look for like partnerships, I think that's very important. As well as, let's say, any international grant funding. I think from the Clarivate products, we can identify which one is having a more international collaboration percentage for which country, as well as opposed to another country. I think that's very, very important, right? Thanks a lot, Ms. Jillian, on that. I think a take-home message to all of the people, participants, is that SCIE as well as SSCI only will have the impact factor, not the emerging journals, right? I think that's very important. And probably, Ms. Jilin, right? Just curious, because just now you mentioned that there will be like 24 criteria, right? So that it can be like transformed from the ESCI to the SCIE. Probably you can share with us the link so that, I mean, for us as a researchers, right, we would like to know more. I think so that we can link between the credit as well as with the academia. I think that's very important, right?
Yeah, I'll share the link on the chat.
And one last thing, I think, right, I believe that this month, right, Clarivate is going to announce the global highly cited researchers, which is about a few weeks from now, right? So I think everyone will be anticipated to know who will be the top 1% highly cited scientists for the year of 2021, right?
Yes.
Back to you, Julie.
Expected to.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jilin. So allow me to pave way to the next speaker. We have the last speaker for today's event, the satellite event. Warm welcome to Dr. Kun Yu. All right, Dr. Kun Yu, you're on the line, right? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, good afternoon and welcome to the event once again. We would like to highlight that Dr. Kun Yu will be giving a talk of how can the big data and artificial intelligence, AI, okay, empower research community in scholarly publishing. Okay, allow me to give a brief introduction of yourself. Yeah? So Dr. Kun Yu joined Frontiers as a publishing team lead of Physical Sciences and Engineering on the 1st of January 2020. He is currently responsible for developing the Physical Sciences and Engineering portfolio of Frontiers in China market. Before joining Frontiers, Dr. Kun used to be the China Market Development Manager of Pablons at Clarivate Analytics and Acquisition and the Development Editor at Springer Nature. Before moving to the publishing industry, Dr. Kun had been studying and working in the academia for about 10 years, and he received his PhD and bachelor degrees in chemistry from the State University of New York at Binghamton and Lanzhou University, respectively. Now I pass over to you, Dr. Kun Yu. So the stage is yours now. See you.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Could you see the screen?
Yes, I can see clearly. Yeah, you're on the go now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Hao, for your introduction. And it is my great pleasure to attend the ICEM 2021 and give a presentation on behalf of Frontiers. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate Xiamen University and the Xiamen University Malaysia campus for the anniversary ceremony. And also, I'm very happy to meet you all here virtually, and I hope everything is going well with all the attendees. So today I'm going to share with you guys the efforts Frontiers has been making in applying big data and artificial intelligence to help our community, including our editors, authors, and reviewers. So before jumping into the main topic, I like just to give a very brief introduction about myself, as Professor Hao has introduced already. So I'm Kun Yu. I'm based in Frontiers' Shanghai office. I joined the Frontiers last year, the first day of 2020. And before Frontiers, I worked for Clarivate and Springer Nature for about 6 years. Then before that, I was working in the academia for about studying and work for about 10 years. So that's just about me. And so Frontiers, actually Frontiers is a Switzerland-based open access publisher and was founded in 2007 by two neuroscientists. And our vision has always been that science should be accessible for the benefit of the society. Therefore, we are on a very, very important mission to make open access the default way of disseminating research advances. And with the efforts All Frontiers community has made in the past 14 years, we are today the 9th largest and the 3rd most cited publisher in the world. And we are growing very, very quickly. The average citation per article we published is about 4.8 times, ranking number 3 among all publishers in the world. For this, all our journals aim to become leaders in both the size of the publications and the citations, offering our community a quality open access publishing option. Regarding our journal portfolio, we have launched journals across the academic spectrum to realize this mission, engaging with the international research community in exciting areas, particularly with titles aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to support solutions to global challenges, including climate, conservation, and food. So now we have 129 journals covering 1,000 academic disciplines, headed by chief editors from research community around the world. Changing the world with open access is not just about citations. It is also about global leadership of a freely accessible research, making it the default for everyone. And the core asset of Frontiers is our large editorial network of 160,000 researchers from the world's leading universities and research institutes. The progress to make science open would not be possible without a strong, high-profile community of editors leading the journals as the subject experts. You can see here the list of universities with the most Frontiers editorial board members. For example, Chinese Academy of Sciences is number 4 in terms of the sources where our editorial board members come from. And this is the map of our readers. The articles we publish achieve very impressive visibility all over the world. We now have 1.4 billion article views and downloads cumulatively, and 2.2 million citations up to June 2021. By far, we can probably get a sense that Frontiers is a data-driven publisher. From this slide, I will explain in detail how we at Frontiers use advanced technology such as big data and artificial intelligence to continuously empower the research community we work with. We empower and support researchers by addressing their needs when they play different roles in scientific publishing as authors, reviewers, and editors. And I will start with big data visualization to support authors to understand the impact of paper they have published. So this is a real article page in Frontiers in Chemistry website. As you can see, besides the content of this article, authors can easily track the impact of their work by checking the real-time number of views, citations, and downloads. So by clicking the view article impact, authors, readers can even know more details. For example, for this article, you can get the real-time number of views, citations, and the downloads, and the social network that cited the work or coded the work, as well as the automatic score. So we can also view the demographic distribution of the views, showing where your readers are. So from one single page, you can fully understand the impact of your work has made. So big data visualization technology also helps the handling editors and the reviewers to view authors' profile directly in our review forum. Taking this manuscript as an example, editors can click any name of the authors and learn the background of the chosen author. For example, Professor Huanyang Chen is one of the authors of this manuscript. The editors can easily know Professor Chen's publication and his activities within Frontier's editorial community, which can help editors to understand more about the background of this research work. Now let's talk about AI and how it helps on expert recommendation. I will focus on the implementation of AI in the Frontier's publishing platform. So let's meet Ira, our artificial intelligence review assistant. We use Ira in two areas to help us carry out quality checks at scale and to recommend experts as reviewers, for example. As we all understand that AI needs data, AI relies on a knowledge graph that includes a lot of data about publications and researchers. This includes 233 million publications, 29 million researchers, and 1.2 billion citations, and over 200,000 organizations. So Ira will read the manuscripts, assign the keywords and the key concepts of the paper, and then identify the scientists that have published a paper similar to that manuscript. Ira will then perform the proximity analysis within the knowledge graph and finally presents a list of recommended reviewers to the manuscript to the handling editor. Each recommendation from Ira comes with details of why this researcher was suggested as a reviewer. For example, he or she had published a significant number of articles in the field of this manuscript, or his or her manuscript or his or her publications have been cited by researchers in this field for many times. As editors, you can adjust keywords for Ira to understand your needs more specifically and recommend the most suitable experts for you. Next, let's see how artificial intelligence help on quality checks. So quality checks at Frontiers are carried out on each manuscript during submission and continue during peer review, also monitoring the quality of the reviewing process itself. So we have a lot of checks, as you can see here, ranging from repeat submission, plagiarism, flagged authors, language quality, and many, many others. The screenshot shows what Ira looks like to our teams. Ira currently supports 13 of these checks and flags manuscripts which my team members need to have a look at. It is very important to us that AI does not make any so-called black box decisions. So Ira is here to support the teams, but human validation is also required for every decision. And everything is transparently recorded in our system. You can see green, yellow, red tags making different levels of attention needed for this manuscript. Here, I would like to show you a few real-life examples of the checks Ira supports us with. So let's look at image manipulation first. We said that AI is good at pattern recognition, which comes in useful here. Image manipulation is important to detect, as it is a form of fraud falsifying data. Ira will scan every image in a submitted manuscript and has been taught to recognize whether images are duplicates, even if they have been rotated or cropped. Here you can see two examples of images that have been flagged by Ira. And a few more examples here. You can see how Ira shows the team what she found as problematic. The two parts circled in green in graph A and graph C are identical. This is also detected by our Ira. So then our editorial team members will go in to investigate and then make a decision on how to proceed, which they record in the system. This feedback is also important for Ira to continue to learn and improve. Another example using images is face detection. As we all understand, a common ethical issue in publishing is patient consent. And as a publisher, we need to protect patient anonymity. How can Ira help us here? She has been trained on lots of images to detect the humans using her neural network. She then raises a flag to the team to check. For this manuscript, Ira flagged that she detected a human in one of the images submitted. Then the editorial team member can now go in specifically to check and sees that the patient has been anonymized sufficiently. The feedback is recorded and the manuscript can proceed to peer review if all flags have been resolved. And at Frontiers, we publish the names of the handling editor and the reviewers who endorsed the manuscript for publication on the final article. So we are very, very proud of this level of transparency, which in itself encourages ethical conduct. Our aim is to support authors, editors, and reviewers in declaring potential conflict of interest and managing these to ensure a fair and objective peer review process. With its network knowledge, Ira can scan for potential past co-authorships, for example, and flag these back to the editorial team. She also compares affiliation. The teams can then verify the flag and take the appropriate action on the manuscript reflected by Ira. So in summary, AI has many benefits for scholarly publishing. It can ensure quality while submissions continue to grow. It can augment human decisions by raising flags and making recommendations. It then learns from the feedback it receives to improve itself. It can save time for authors, reviewers, and editors during the peer review process by focusing them on what needs their attention more. Finally, in this presentation, I would like to take some time to introduce research topic projects at Frontiers, which can help our editors and authors to enhance their global collaboration and also global impact. So Frontiers research topics are peer-reviewed article collections around a cutting-edge research theme. Research topics can be defined, managed, and led by renowned researchers. Articles published in research topics normally have higher views, downloads, and citations than those that are not published in research topics. A research topic also fosters global collaboration, connecting you with peers around the world to contribute to topics you work around. As a publisher, we provide dedicated support to topic editors through every step of the process. So from defining your topic and inviting contributors to promoting your collection and tracking its impact. All authors return the copyright of their work by publishing under the CC BY license. I would like to show you a few successful examples of a research topic published in our two fantastic journals, Frontiers in Chemistry and Frontiers in Materials. Frontiers in Chemistry is a high visibility and quality journal publishing rigorously peer-reviewed research across the chemical sciences. So this journal now bears an impact factor of 2.4 from Clarivate Analytics and a CITE score of 4.1 from Elsevier. It has 15 sections for authors to choose when submitting their work. You can see analytical chemistry, nanoscience, astrochemistry, organic chemistry, and many, many other available sections. Our field chief editor, Professor Steve Sweep at the University of Connecticut, is supported by an outstanding editorial board of international researchers. This multidisciplinary open access journal is at the forefront of disseminating and communicating scientific knowledge and impactful discoveries to academics, industry leaders, and the public worldwide. The next journal I like to introduce is Frontiers in Materials. This journal publishes rigorously peer-reviewed research across the entire breadth of material science and engineering. And now the journal bears an impact factor of 3.5 and a size score of 2.7. And led by our field chief editor, Professor Nicola Maria Puno, this journal provides a balanced and a comprehensive offering of specialty sections, each of which has a dedicated editorial board of leading experts in the respective field. So here are some examples of successful research topics published in the two journals. The first one is organized and led by our two specialty chief editors of nanoscience section, Professor Fan Zhang and Professor Zhou. And the second one is entitled Luminescent Nanomaterials in Translational Medicine, led by well-known Professor Benjong Tang and some excellent young researchers in this field. And the last one I like to show you is entitled Advanced Nanomaterials for Light-Emitting Diodes and Solar Cells, led by 4 researchers, including Professor Tan at Xiamen University, Malaysia. So these research topics bring researchers from the globe together, working on a specific theme and collect high-quality articles globally, which improves the collaboration between universities and the researchers. Also, they help to increase the impact of the articles published in these research topics. So these are all from me today. Thank you very much for your time. And I highly appreciate the organizers of this conference who provide us this very precious opportunity to introduce Frontiers. And we now have 2 offices in China, one in Beijing and the other one in Shanghai. You are all very welcome to visit our 2 offices if you have a chance to come to Beijing or Shanghai. So I really look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much.
Very appreciate your talk, Dr. Kun Yu. It has been like eye-opening especially for me, whereby you integrate the AI features into the publishing feature. I mean, it is totally something new, which is could leverage the process of through the peer review and everything. We're pretty sure that this will be one of the trend in the future. So yeah, we'll come back to the question, Dr. Kun Yu. We have 2 questions from the attendees today. First question goes with, what if I need to cite figures from other papers? Is it considered a plagiarism by IRA?
You mean cite figures from other papers?
Yes.
Let's see.
Especially, I think in the review paper, yeah.
I think if you clearly put a reference behind the paper, that should be fine in Frontiers. All
right, sure. So second question goes with, a side question. Do you think that the high APC of open access journals is limiting the publication opportunity from lower income countries, especially countries with big disadvantages in currency exchange?
I see. That's a very good and common question. I think, yeah, that's true. Sometimes APC do bring the obstacles for low-income countries, especially researchers there. But I think every open access publisher provides opportunities for researchers there to either apply for discounts or have some kind of consortia to offer the budget of waivers to support their research. For example, at Frontiers, we do provide a project called Fee Support Program. So every authors can go there and put the reasons why they need the money support for this article. And our team can check that one by one and offer the discounts for the applicants.
All right, pretty good. I mean, it's like kind of like a channel for the specific privileged country, underprivileged countries, yeah, for the scholars to work with. Yeah. Go back to you, Dr. Ong. Do you have anything to add in?
Thanks, Dr. Hao, for assisting to chair this particular
No worries.
session, right? Just to add on from what Dr. Yu has mentioned, actually just to fill a very simple forms. It's a very simple form. Just within like probably within 10 minutes, as long as you know the authors, the title of the paper, as well as to which particular journal or which particular research topic, within like 5 to 10 minutes, then you can send it out. Then the frontiers will have a support team to evaluate whether are they giving you some 50% waive or 100% waive. It really depends on the final decision from the frontiers. Right, Dr. Yu?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Professor Wang.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I think a lot of like data duplication, right? So I think this is very, I would say, a huge offense among the scientific community. So I think with the AI, I think that's very important to check any duplicated figures, right, without proper reference or citations. Right? I think there's something very good to have such a technology, AI technology, to do some evaluations, as humans have limitations, right? So with the some of the like humans, the machines interface, I think there'll be a plus point to all the submissions, and this will give like another like awareness to the authors who are going to submit that everyone has to be careful when it comes to any paper submissions, right? And probably I think there are one more questions from the floor. They are asking me that for frontiers, right? So probably I'd like to do some elaboration is that, for example, frontiers in chemistry, we have 15 sessions, right? We do have like each and every section, the editor-in-chief, EIC. Then with all the sessions, we have another leader, which is actually called FCE, Field Chief Editor. So in other words, it's a Field Chief Editor, followed by Editor-in-Chief, or I call it as a Specialty Chief Editor, then followed by Associate Editor, then followed by Review Editors. And with that, that comes up to another questions. People are asking, like frontiers, how can they be like part of the editorial community for the respective frontiers journals? Probably Dr. Yu would like to do some additional knowledge on this.
Thank you very much, Professor Wang. I think joining our editorial board member, I think it's available to every researcher in the world. So anyone can submit or show the interest to Frontiers editorial office, and then our editorial office will check the background, if the background matches the section they choose, and also the seniority, and also the connections. And if they are suitable for being either review editor, associate editor, even specialty chief editors for the section, our editorial team will contact you and recommend you to the field chief editor, or specialty chief editor, or associate editor, and the review editor, depends on which editor, which role you are applying. Then after the approval from, for example, let's say anyone is interested in associate editor, so we need to submit the application to a specialty chief editor. If the approval is received from the specialty chief editor, so we can now invite you officially to join the editorial board as an associate editor. So it depends on the level of the editors you are applying. We have different criteria, for evaluation.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Yu. Right, a very, very good insights for those who are interested to be part of the community within that particular journals, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's all from my side. Is there any more questions from the Q&A box? Right, I think all are answered. Right. So with that, probably I pass it back to Dr. Hao. You want to wrap up for this Dr. Yu's presentation? Thanks a lot, Dr. Yu, for your time.
Thank you.
Right, thank you, Dr. Ong. And well, let us it is our immense pleasure to have these four in total, we have a 4 session for the satellite event today, and we have all the speakers all the way from different countries today, and pretty we want to highlight about our big gratitude, towards their, the talk and contribution for this event, and have shared a lot of insightful, especially the tips, how to, sharpen your knowledge in, publishing, and, how to meet the requirement and the needs of the societal, and also the readership at the end of the day. So I think this is one of the final session before we wraps up formally. We would like to invite all of the speaker. Could you please switch on your camera? We would like to have a photo session. Oh, Prof. Zhang Ying has just joined in.
Probably we can go back to MC, right? MC will do some announcements regarding the group photo sessions.
Yes.
And on behalf of the ICM committee members, I'd like to thank everyone, especially the satellite events having the Elsewhere, Chinese Journal of Catalysis, who has focused in the aspect of catalysis, Royal Society of Chemistry, as the name implies, chemistry. So all sorts of chemistry, as well as some of the multidisciplinary chemistry, as well as the Credivet, which gives us a very good overview regarding like how can we do some collaboration between the corporates and academia. And the bonus topic, right? Thank you very much, Ms. Jilin, right, on that. As well as finally, we have the Frontiers who give us an insights regarding the IRA. I think that's very fascinating, right? So that people are aware of these things when they do the submissions, right? Thank you once again for your participation. Then I'll pass it back to MC.
Okay, thank you very much to Associate Professor Dr. Ong Wijun and Assistant Professor Dr. Hao Chunyan for leading today's satellite event. And to all the presenters, thank you very much for sharing your insights with us on your scientific publishing. Before the end of this satellite event, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ong Wijun, Assistant Professor Dr. Hao Chunyan, and all the speakers in the satellite event to turn on your camera as we take a group photo of this memorable event.
All right, greetings from the technical team. Now the group photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Okay, another picture in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your support to ICEM 2021. We have taken the group photo. You may turn off your camera now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the next highlight of our program today, the awards ceremony of ICEM 2021. Today, we have 4 Best Poster Awards to be given off. These awards are sponsored by the Royal Society of Chemistry, RSC, through 4 journals that are Materials Chemistry Frontiers, Energy and Environmental Science, Sustainable Energy and Fuels, and Energy Advances. Before I make the announcement, I would like to invite Dr. Liu Wenjun, Executive Editor of Royal Society of Chemistry, Associate Professor Dr. Ong Wijun, Chairman of ICEM 2021, and Professor Wang Hui-chong, Director of Research Management Center, Xiamen University, Malaysia, to turn on your camera. We will take group photo with each poster award winner. And to all the poster award winners, please turn on your camera when you're called. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now start the announcement of the winners. First off, the winner for RSC Materials Chemistry Frontiers Award is Ms. Ng Su Fei from Xiamen University, Malaysia.
Can you see me?
All right, the photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Another photo in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
Congratulations and thank you, Ms. Ng Su Fei. Ladies and gentlemen, the next award, RSC Energy and Environmental Science. The winner is Mr. Joel Fu Ji from Xiamen University, Malaysia.
Okay, the photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Another photo in 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you, Mr. Joel Fuji. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on, the RSC Sustainable Energy and Fuels Award goes to Ms. Lau Hui Chen from Xiamen University, Malaysia.
The photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Another photo in 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations and thank you, Ms. Lau Hui Shen. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth award, RSC Energy Advances. The winner is Dr. Chai Hui Vun from UCSI University, Malaysia.
Be ready for the photo in 3, 2, 1. Another photo. 3, 2, 1.
Okay. Congratulations and thank you to Dr. Chai Pui Vun. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we end the award ceremony, may I have all the award winners to turn on your camera so we can take a group photo.
Okay, photo will be taken in 3, 2, 1. Another photo in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to thank Dr. Liu Wanjun, Associate Professor Dr. Ong Wei-jun, and Professor Wang Hui-chong for gracing the award ceremony of ICEM 2021. And once again, congratulations to all the poster award winners. Ladies and gentlemen, here marks the end of the award ceremony of ICEM 2021. It is the time for the closing ceremony of ICEM 2021. Would you please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Zhang Ying, Assistant President of Xiamen University, Malaysia, to give a closing speech.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon at Xiamen, China time. Okay, to all of our distinguished speakers and guests and our colleagues coming from more than 15 countries and region and present here today. I'm Dr. Ying Zhang, a researcher in analytical chemistry and also the assistant president of Xiamen University, Malaysia. You can also call me Grace. Firstly, I'm delighted to be here today at the time of conclusion of the first international conference on energy materials 2021, an inaugural event on energy materials held in conjunction with the 5th anniversary of the establishment of Xiamen University, Malaysia, and also the 100th anniversary of Xiamen University, China. As we reached the end of the conference, I truly believe that it has been a fruitful and rewarding session with good progress made throughout this period. To our distinguished speakers and delegates who came from all corners of the globe, thank you for taking the time to participate in this conference. We are very grateful for the spectacular talks and efforts in sharing your experiences and contributing to the success of this conference. On top of that, I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the organizing committee, a group of young, energetic talents. Look at their young and sunshine faces. Dr. Wei Jun'an, Dr. Yan Haochong, Dr. Iwan Chu, Dr. Wen Chenggan, and also our other young staff that I won't mention their name one by one here, for undertaking this mammoth task and making this event happen despite the challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that energy is a fundamental ingredient in human life. There's no industrial, agricultural, health, or any other sort of processes that does not require a degree of an external energy. Nevertheless, the increasing energy demand, the problem of scarcity, and the environmental concerns associated with the intermittent nature of the renewable energy sources are the modern day challenges that we as human beings have to take responsibility for. As these problems may put the world on the verge of energy catastrophe in the next 2 or 3 decades, undoubtedly, this conference amply demonstrated these themes and also provided a comprehensive review in aspects of fundamental science and applied research on energy materials, such as energy storage, nanomaterials, materials for wearable devices, and membrane technology, and so on. I believe these discussions will dedicate to the progress in the field of energy research, innovations, and technology, particularly on materials knowledge and discoveries. Ladies and gentlemen, some of you might know that Xiamen University is a research-intensive public university in China, directly administered by Ministry of Education of China. Xiamen University, Malaysia is the first overseas campus set up by a renowned Chinese university and the first Chinese university branch campus in Malaysia, and also the number 10th foreign branch campus in Malaysia. It welcomed its first batch of students in February 2016, so that we are still young and full of vigor and vitality. The same as our main campus, which is one of the most beautiful campus in China, our branch campus in Malaysia has also become a beautiful landscape nearby Malaysian International Airport. Here I show some pictures to you, and I hope you may come to visit us after COVID-19 in the near future. We hope it's in the near future. Our founder, Mr. Tan Kah-kee, who is the widely known as a world-renowned educator, devoted all he had to the pursuit of education. Xiamen University solemnly pledges to uphold his spirit of selfless dedication to the noble causes of education in establishing Xiamen University Malaysia. To share, we will continually remain as a not-for-profit institution, and not a cent will be repatriated to China. Instead, any surplus funds will be directly channeled back into research funding and scholarships for students of Xiamen University Malaysia. This is one of our long-term goals we have been working towards as institutions over the years. Once again, it's our great honor to be entrusted to host this conference. We hope that this conference would be a valuable time for all of you in providing constructive ideas and input on how we may move forward with the goals of the future advanced energy materials. We also hope you have gained some new knowledge, insight, or much useful information throughout this conference. Once again, I would like to invite all of you to visit our Malaysian campus after COVID-19, and hopefully by the time of second ICEM meeting in 2023, we all can gather on our beautiful campus to enjoy the beautiful scenery and delicious food of Southeast Asian style. And of course, also we will have fun with our scientific puzzles. Thank you, and stay safe and healthy. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Zhang Ying, for the speech. Next, I would like to invite our conference chair, Associate Professor Dr. Ong Guijun, to give a closing speech. The stage is yours, Dr. Ong Guijun.
Thank you, MC Shams, for the brief introduction, and also thanks Professor Zhang Ying for the closing remarks. Right. So give me a minute. I'll be doing a screen sharing. Right. Sorry for the technical issues. Right. Good afternoon to everyone, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by thanking all of you from far away, some of you even in the middle of the night, to my knowledge. I hope that it has been a good use of your time. For the past few days, the talks have been great and rewarding. As a chairman for this event, I went to all of the EMs, 6 of them, and they are very active. It's very clear that people have been really thinking about what they have been hearing and making lots and lots of connections. I think this is something indeed awesome. So thanks to the speakers and the participants who have taken and spending a lot of days with us. And I'm certain that there have been many interesting and insightful presentations, notably in the plenary sessions. I believe that this virtual meeting has been a good intervention and a lot to learn from some of the pioneering research activities and works. There are challenges addressed, and many questions have been raised in the emerging areas related to energy materials. I sincerely hope that through this stimulating and fascinating presentation and discussion afterwards, all of us can connect together, forge collaboration, and work even closer with one another. As a whole, ICM has adequately demonstrated the themes that we started with at the beginning of this event, empowering science and technology for a sustainable future through the interdisciplinary strength and also scientific discussion in advanced materials for energy and environmental applications. Importantly, our team complements well with our Xiamen University's motto, pursue excellence, strive for perfection, as well as our Center of Excellence for Nanoenergy and Catalysis Technology, CONNECT's motto, advancing science, promoting sustainability, with the ultimate goal that the advancement of research and innovation allows technology leapfrogging for the betterment of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, it is timely to share that the ongoing United Nations UN COP26 Summit is now taking place at Glasgow's Scottish Events Campus starting from 31st of October to 12th of November. The world leaders and delegates were asked to accelerate the action on climate change and commit to more ambitious cuts in their country's emissions, all in an effort to mitigate the global temperature rise. Indeed, it is a calling for us to deploy the realistic mission in tackling global climate change with the aim of carbon neutrality by 2050s. I welcome your high level of attention to our 6th EM Symposia to this issue at these key moments for our collective efforts, where we need pragmatic solutions driven by energy materials to circumvent our climate problems and perhaps a thrust into the limelight for this collaborative effort. Winston Churchill once said, "Now, this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it's perhaps the end of the beginning." Although we have come to the end of this meeting, it doesn't mean that this is the final end, but it symbolizes an excellent start to our forthcoming ICM 2023, which will be held from 10th to 13th of November 2023. With rapid vaccine rollouts all around the world and the number of populations accessible to vaccination is on the rise, we are very optimistic that ICM 2023 physical conference will safely bring the community together once again. Positively, we have our confirmed collaborating event partners, the Royal Society of Chemistry, RSC, and under the umbrella of RSC Publishing Journals, we have Energy and Environmental Science, Materials Chemistry Frontiers, Sustainable Energy and Fuels, as well as Energy Advances. Not to forget, the ICM 2023 will be augmented by our pillar co-organizer, Tankaki Innovation Laboratory, for their continuous support in materializing these particular events. This will be our forthcoming grand event, which all of you should not miss. We cordially to welcoming you to visit our beautiful tropical campus in Malaysia and your active contribution and participation in this upcoming conference. More updates and information with regards to the travel requirement and regulation may change from time to time. And for that reason, please get back with us as the event approaches. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the people who have really made this happen, in particular, the organizing committee members, scientific chairs, session chairs, and importantly, student helpers, who have done an excellent job in putting together a splendid program, coordinating all the sessions and addressing all the queries to ensure the success of this anniversary event. So, as a final round of applause, let's put our hands together to thank our ICM committee members, scientific and session chairs, as well as student helpers under the supervision of virtual secretariats led by Dr. Braden Fu, joining us in this particular special room. Thank you once again. So with that, finally, my warmest thanks to our sponsorships and scientific publishers, as shown in this particular slides. On that note, special gratitude goes to Elsevier, the Royal Society of Chemistry RSC, CreditVets, as well as Frontiers for contributing to this satellite event. Before we dismiss, here is what we would like to do. Please, participants, participate in our 5 minutes post-conference survey by scanning this particular QR code. And please join. Next, please post our session photos on the Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And please use the ICEM SMUM hashtag as shown here and keep it retweeted and share out to many, many people, to all your friends and all your peers, right? And lastly, wishing Xiamen University Malaysia happy 5th birthday and Xiamen University China 100th birthday. And with that, a big thank you for attending the ICM 2021 and goodbye from all of us from the organizing committees. And on that note, I would like to officially declare the ICM 2021 closed. With that, take care and stay safe till we meet again in ICM 2023, 2 years from now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to Associate Professor Dr. Ong Guijun for the great speech. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICEM 2021 committee, we would like to thank all of you for your high commitment for making this conference a great success. Our sincere appreciation also goes to our ICEM 2021 sponsors. With all of us together, we made empowering science and technology for a sustainable future possible. Ladies and gentlemen, knowledge has a beginning, but no end. We will see you in ICEM 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day to everyone.
Thank you.